What's up, Hoopball Nation? It's Brandon Marcus from the Hoopball Clippers podcast. We're chatting about an exciting time in Clipperland with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George looking to lead the team to an NBA title. Tune in to hear guests ranging from TV voice Brian Seaman and radio voice Noah Eagle to various beat writers and team bloggers. Follow the podcast on Twitter @HoopballClips and follow me @BDMarcus. Looking forward to having you tune in.
The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Good morning, Hoop Ballers, and welcome to another edition of Hoop Ball DFS Today. I'm your host, Santino Cacone. And I'm joined here on September 5th doing another DFS podcast for you guys. I said joined here, but I'm running a solo one for you tonight. It's going to be a pretty good one. We'll go fairly quickly. We only have the 2 games going on as we have these last so-on days. But yeah, good NBA news going. We just saw the Bucks go down 3-0 in that series. I know the game 2 ended in very big controversy, but game 3 left no doubt who has been the better team this series. We're watching LA and Houston battle it out. The Raptors pulled out a game winner last one, and the Clippers dismantled the Nuggets on short rest as well. But let's get right into this slate. Now we have a 2-game slate, as I mentioned. Raptors versus the Celtics. This game is at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. And then we have the Nuggets Clippers on later at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And let's start with this first one. The spread in this one is a pick'em, a -110 pick'em. There is no money line because it is a pick'em. The over/under is 214 just 214, not 214 and a half. But this is going to be an exciting one. If the Celtics win this one and go up 3-1, it's going to be very tough for the Raptors to come back, but they are coming off their championship, so anything is possible. But as far as the Raptors, we still have McCaw and Brissett out, and the Celtics have Green, Hayward, Poirier, and Waters. Or the first 3 are out, and Waters is questionable. No big names there except for Gordon Hayward, and we already knew he was out. Let's get right into this. We'll start with the quote-unquote away team in the Raptors. So Pascal Siakam is the highest paid player with Lowry and Van Vliet right on his heels. For me, though, I'm not going to go with Siakam. I've been faded in this series. It's just a tough matchup for him. In game 2, he did provide 44 points. It's not much. If I'm paying nearly 8 on a 2-game slate, I would like a little more upside in this. And in his 5 games against the Celtics that he's played, he's averaging 31.8 fantasy points. Not even 5x value for his price on average. And in the 3 games that he's played in the playoffs, 22, 44, 31. He just hasn't been there lately. His scoring, his shot's not great. He's 12-17 of 45 from this, 47 in the series. So he's not shooting great. He's only made 2 of 11 threes. I'm just going to fade him again. I'd much rather have a Lowry or Van Vliet in this matchup. And I said that both of those guys for me are in play. I'm going to lean a little bit towards Lowry. He's had the advantage the last 2 games, and he's pretty much almost brought him back. He's pretty close to 5x value on all 3 games. Same with Van Vliet. He's almost at 40 points on average, so they're both being pretty well. I'm going to give the slight edge to Lowry, but the Van Vliet shooting guard eligibility is something to think about as well if you like other guards in this, and there are quite a few guards. But those 2 are the main guys on this team that I'm going to be looking at. And again, we saw OG hit that game winner, which was a nice game winner. He was wide open in the back corner. They just left him there. They let him shoot it, and he made him pay. It was a nice half court or cross court pass on the outlet or on the inbounds pass, and he hit it. He knocked it down, and that was such a huge three with a half a second remaining, a catch and shoot type play. But I like OG in this again. He's creeping up to 5.6 thousand now. He started this series in the 4K range. He started the playoffs in the three. He was 3-9 against Brooklyn in that first game, which is all the way back in the 17th. But he's been playing well lately. He's brought back 24, 32, and 38 the last three games. 5.6 is a little higher than you'd want. He just touches, or he's getting close to Ibaka price, but he's bringing back the value. And if you like that, I don't mind paying him there if he's not a bad play. And the other two guys, if you're looking at them, are the two centers in Ibaka and Gasol. This one's a little tricky. Obviously, I do like Ibaka more. I think Gasol is just a solid veteran. He could bring back 20 points like he did last game, but it's not his minutes. Both of these guys' minutes aren't going to explode. Neither of them are playing 30 minutes. They're in a pretty similar timeshare. We saw Marc Gasol take the advantage of that timeshare last game and get the higher end of that timeshare. But again, they're both going to still stick to this similar timeshare. So I don't mind looking at either. I do give Ibaka the edge. I think last game was just an outlier. He only scored 2 points. He had 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, a steal. He wound up putting up 15 points, which is not good for in your DFS lineup. But the games before that, he had 28 and 35. So he has pretty much, he's getting close to his value there. So that's what I think he's going to creep back up to again. But Marc Gasol really isn't too far off of 5x value in his 3 games either. He has 19, 17, 22. The upside is just not there with him that you have with Ibaka. But if you're going for a safe, cheap play and you're not looking for a high upside play, you just want something stable and you make your money work, then I look more Gasol's way. It's just nothing. You can't really expect more than 25 points out of him. Anything more than that is a huge bonus. I just don't see it. Especially, I don't think he's going to play 27 again. I think he's going to go back to the 21 range, and Ibaka gets the extra minutes. But for this team, I'm not really looking for anyone else. They are pretty deep, but in the playoffs, rotations tighten up, and they need this game. They can't go down 3-1. They just survived to get this to 2-1. They can't go down 3-1. And then if the Celtics take this one, they're going to be riding hot. And we'll see how the Celtics respond. And great segue to get right into the Celtics. They lost on a game winner. They've been playing great lately. They swept the Sixers. And they were almost going to go up 3-0 on the Raptors right now. But they did lose that game in the last shot. And now they are 6-1 in the playoffs. I think they needed it. And for a basketball sense, and a team that's trying to win a championship, you can't win every single game. They needed to see what a defeat looked like before they get into the next round, I believe. And losing like that is brutal, but still, it's the same thing as losing in a blowout. And we'll see how they respond, because if they responded big time and they take out the Raptors in Game 4, then you know this team is for real, and you know that this team can bounce back from adversity like that. And every championship team needs to see a little bit of adversity in there, here and there, to see if you what you're really made of. So that's what I'm interested to see with them. And let's get right into who I like on them. The big guys in here are the usual big guys. We have Jason Tatum at 93, Kemba Walker at 8,000, and Jaylen Brown at 76. I'll start with Walker. I know about 2 weeks ago when we were in the Nets series and I watched him play that first game, I said, this is probably the last time you're going to see this guy under 7K. He was the Sixer series. He was 66 and then 67 in the first 2 games. He looks spry. He looked good. He looked healthy, healthier than he's been in a while. And it's shown. He's just gotten better and better with each and every game. Last game, he put up 44 DK points. He scored 29 points. He shot 9 of 15 from the field, 4 of 7 from 3. He only had 3 assists and 3 rebounds. He did have 3 steals, but that just shows there is more room for him Having the last 4 games, he's had 4, 10, 4, 3 assists. So it's kind of getting closer to that lower range in assist, but he could still bring you back 5, 6, 7 anytime. So there is room for improvement there. And at 8K, I don't mind looking at his way. I would rather look at him than a Siakam, I just said, for the same price. If we're comparing guards, I'd probably go Lowry, Kemba, and then Van Vliet slightly under. But if you want to get your Celtics exposure without going Tatum or Brown, Kemba Walker's a pretty good guy to go with. And then we could pivot to the high expensive guy in this one, and that is Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum. I'm already butchering. Jason Tatum had himself a big game 2, scoring 34 points, 55 DK points, and then he fell back to what he did in the game 1, similar to that, and scored only 37 DK points in this one. If we're looking at his season average against Toronto, it's been a difficult matchup for him. He's averaging less than he averages at a normal per game basis. He's averaging only 38.6 points per game in this matchup. Toronto is a really good defense. They're number 1 scoring defense in the league. They pretty much do a lot of things that their defense pretty much does a lot of things that Jason Tatum's really good at. And they suppress threes and all that good stuff. So for 93, I'm going to lay off him more than normal. You do have a Kawhi Leonard that you can pay up for, and that's where I would rather pay up for if I can. So I'm going to stay a little bit away from Tatum, but I wouldn't be surprised if he went off again and he had a bounce back like he had in game 2. But to me, I'm more leaning towards the Kemba Walker side or the Jaylen Brown for a solid discount there. You can get Brown and then have that money left over and get Kawhi, and that's where I'd be looking for. And yes, segue right into Jaylen Brown. So Jaylen Brown, on the season, if you look at all his game logs and whatnot, he doesn't have the big boom type potential. So if you look, he doesn't surpass 50 points more than you'd think a guy with his talent would. He's more of a steady paced guy that gets a lot of, he'll give you like 45, 47, but isn't booming to the 50s or 60s with regularity. I think he had less than 7 games over 50 in the season, but he is a very steady guy. And at 7,600, I think that's a really fair price for him. The last 2 games, he's outplayed that price, even 5x. He's brought back 38 and 44 points. He's only scored 17, 16, and 19 actual points in these 3 series, or in this series on all 3 games. And he's still bringing back over 5x value as total. He's grabbing rebounds. He's grabbed 20 rebounds the last 2 games. He's had 6 blocks and 3 steals combined in the last 2 games. So he's getting things done other than scoring points. And I think he's going to start scoring a little more points this game. I think he drops over 20. And that gives me a safe, solid floor for him. And I think his floor and that 1,700 discount that you get instead of going Tatum, for me, I like that. And the same with Kemba Walker. You get a $1,300 discount there, and you can spend wherever you want it elsewhere. So I like those 2 guys more. I'm not going to knock you as my buddy Mike says, I'm not going to knock you if you like Tatum here, because he has a superstar level talent. But I like the little discount that you get, and you can pay up for the other guy in the next game. As far as who else I like on this team, the 2 big centers are both in play for me. Daniel Tice at 5,500. I would lean towards Ibaka because of the upside, but Tice is not bad as well. He's gotten 30, 39, 25, and 22 DK points in the 3 games in this series. He's played 25, 30, and 30 minutes. So he's getting a consistent role here. He's playing more minutes than Ibaka would play. He's a $400 discount. And again, he's not scoring points. He's only scored 12 points total in the last 2 games. But he's grabbing rebounds. He's chipping in a couple assists. He's chipping in some stocks. So his game is pretty well rounded. he doesn't. The upside is not huge, even though he had a big upside game in the first game. The upside's not. It's every so often that you'll see it, but he has a safe floor. With the role when you're getting 30 minutes for that, and there's only 4 centers on the docket, not bad. And the other guy, Robert Williams, he hasn't seen 20 minutes in any game this series yet, but he's also in play at only 3,800. There's not many people, as I keep saying, with a 2-game slate and everybody getting a little bit of a price bump, kind of. There's not many people that you're going to find under 4K that are going to bring back value. He's brought back value in every game, 24, 17, 17. He hasn't topped 20 minutes yet. 19 was his highest in the opener, but he's proving to be a valuable player without a huge minute limit or a minute huge rotation spot there. What he's doing is bringing you back 5 to 6x value at a very cheap price. Again, you're not going to expect 35 points from this guy. Maybe not even 30. 25 might be a stretch. But if you can get 17 to 20, which he's been doing, 17, even a couple extra than 20, that's a very good price for 3,800. And then you could, even if you wanted a Tatum, if you had extra money, you might be getting a Tatum and then getting a Kawhi, because you're going with a Robert Williams, who very hard to find people under 4K that are bringing back solid value there. So he's a guy that I'd be looking at, especially if you're not too thrilled with all these center options. I know at the center position we have Jokic at 95. If you don't want to spend all that for him after you saw the game 1, then your second best option is Ibaka, Tice, Zubac, Gasol, Paul Millsap, Montrezl Harrell. If you don't like any of these guys, Robert Williams for 38, plug him in your center and then pay up elsewhere, because there are a lot of guards, especially Toronto and Boston, a lot of guards on this slate that you're going to want to probably attack. So he is definitely in play for me, and I really like him at that price. All right, so before we get into the next game, let's talk about my bookie, guys. If you haven't done it already, you might want to get on it as soon as possible. The NFL season is right around the corner. Next Thursday, in 5 days or so, we will be having an NFL season back. The Texans at the Chiefs, and then Sunday you got the games as well, and we're getting deeper into the NBA playoffs, and MLB playoffs are coming up. We're getting deeper in the NHL playoffs. There's UFC, all this good stuff. Tennis going every day, all this good stuff that's going on there. And go to my bookie if you're a gambling guy. Check out the betting podcast that we have going on. You guys are doing a great job. Check out the betting podcast and go to my bookie. Enter the promo code HoopBall. That's HOOPBALL. And then you get 100% of your first deposit matched. You can't really beat that. And again, with the NFL right around the corner, you're going to want to get in there early and put in your future bets before they get over with. Or we all know that NFL is the biggest betting sport in the country, so it's no better time to do this than now and get yourself ready for that. And then when you're done with that, if you guys haven't heard our podcast before, or new listener, or whatever the case may be, if you haven't checked out Manscaped yet and checked out that Lawnmower 3.0, I just saw the commercial on it on TV the other day, actually today, not too long ago, and everything that they were saying, how good it glides and no scratch or whatever, it is completely true. This thing is fantastic. It's the Lawnmower 3.0. You can get it by itself, or you can get it on the Perfect Package 3.0. And you get they're having a sale right now anyway, but you can also get 20% more off on it if you enter the promo code HoopBall20. That's HOOPBALL20. And then try it out for yourself. I can't recommend it enough. It's absolutely fantastic. Yep. So let's get into this second game here, or the last game, whatever we want to call it. This is the Denver Nuggets at the Los Angeles Clippers. At is a subjective word. They're all in the bubble, as we know. The Nuggets are 9-point underdogs, and the over-under is 221.5. So this game is projected to be a lot higher of a scoring game than the last game, which makes sense because two faster teams, two teams that both good defenses, but the other game has two of the top three defenses in the league. And so we'll see what happens here. As far as the injury report, the Clippers have nobody on the injury report right now. They haven't submitted it. We'll see what happens. At this moment in time, while I'm recording it, they don't have any submissions in there. But the Nuggets have Will Barton, who's, again, out, and Ken Carr, that's out. Barton's a big name. He's not playing. But, yeah, that's all we have for you. Let's start with this Nuggets squad. This game also starts at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as far as the Nuggets squad, we have, we'll start with the two big guys here, Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. Coming off a Game 7 series where they came back 3-1, exerted a lot of energy. They only had 1 day of rest before game day again. 1 day off, and then they had game day. And if you were watching after the Game 7 win, you heard Jamal Murray say, whoa, when he was asked in an interview. He didn't realize that. He said, we only get 1 game off. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's the way the bubble's working. You got to win your games a little quicker. So you can kind of forgive them that, not totally, they got blown out, but you can kind of forgive them that they were drained. They were mentally, physically drained, and then they had to go right into this dominant Clipper team. But we'll start with Jokic because he is 9,500, and we'll touch on Murray too. He's also at 9,100. Jokic, to me, is not a bad play. So far on the season, he's averaging not as much as he usually does against other teams, but he's averaging 39 points in his 4 games against the Clippers. He only scored 22 points. He played 30 minutes last game. Obviously, if this game is closer, he's going to be playing more than 30 minutes. Maybe it was a good thing that they didn't have to force feed him there, and they can get more time off. But I expect more rebounds from him, expect more points, more minutes, more offense running through him. I just expect a better game from the Nuggets. I can't imagine they're going to get blown out 2 games in a row to start the series. And Jokic at 95 is not a bad price. I like him more than Tatum. I think he bounces back a little bit. But if we can only fit one big high price guy over 9K, I want Leonard more than him. But if you can get both of them, then that's not bad. And there's not too many centers on a 2 games docket. I know I mentioned a couple people that you could pick for, but if you want a guy with the highest obvious upside and highest obvious ceiling, it's Jokic. As far as Murray, I'm not as high on him as I was in the last series. They do have a lot of people that they can throw on him in this series. They have Paul George can guard him. When Beverly's there, he can guard him. They can throw Kawhi Leonard on him. A lot of people can guard him here as opposed to the Jazz. And after he said he was so tired, or like, we only get that 1 game rest, and his reaction, the way he said it, this guy's a little tired. He carried this team to where they are right now. So for 91, that's a lot of money to pay for him. Again, I would rather go Jokic at that same price. Even Tatum. I said I would not be playing Tatum much, but if it's Tatum or Murray, I'll take Tatum. So I'm not going to play too much Murray at 9,100. I just think that's he was much better when he was around 8K. That was a lot better, and obviously he deserved the big price bump. He dropped 50, 42, and 50 in a 3-game span. But the last 2 games, he's only had 29 total points scored, 10 assists, 5 rebounds. He was 12 of 36 shooting and 3 of 14 from 3. I think he exerted himself so much in that 3-game span that it's a little bit showing right now. But at 9,100, I can pass on it here. Let's see who else we got here. Michael Porter Jr. This is a matchup that they need someone else to score if Murray's not scoring, if Jokic's not scoring. His price dropped all the way back down to 5,100. I'm okay with that. He only took 9 shots in the last game, only played 23 minutes. Again, this team lost by 23 points in the final score. They were just getting blown out from start to finish. I'm okay with this 5,100 price tag. I think he still has huge upside. They need someone else to score, especially if Murray's struggling or Jokic's struggling. This is more for him. I think this matchup suits him a little bit better. And at 51, I'm not afraid to take a chance on him. That's very cheap to throw him there. But again, like I said, for Murray, they have people that they could throw on him. Porter has the same people that can get thrown on him. You can get a Paul George on him or a Kawhi Leonard. So that matchup there is not the greatest, but at 51, it's not a bad gamble. And after seeing him play lately, his ownership's not going to be too high. So if he does have a big game, you're going to get a big leg up on most people because of it. Outside of those guys, not too many people I'm too much gravitating for. The Clippers are just a really sound, deep team with a really good defense. But if I'm looking close, at 4K, Gary Harris is not bad to me. He's played 3 games now, 21, 26, 24 minutes. So I think he's ready. If this game was closer last game, I think he was ready to play 30 minutes. Gary Harris playing 30 minutes at 4K, great value. He only scored 10 DK points last game, and he's still he didn't really do much, but that's almost he's going to get close to value if he can get 30, 32 minutes, which I think he's ready for. And they definitely need him. He's their best defender, especially on the wing. So they need him to play, and him being healthy is good. Without Will Barton, yes, that he is their best wing defender. And I like that price tag for him. I just think it's very good for him. At 4K, again, you're not going to find many people that have pretty good upside at 4K. I mentioned Robert Williams at 38. Gary Harris has bigger upside if he's playing 30 plus minutes. Maybe there's a lot more options at the guard position, but that's still very good value for him. So he's one of the few value guys I like here. Paul Millsap also had a pretty good game last game, scored 33 DK points, only 24 minutes. Most people didn't really play that much because of the nature of the score and the nature of the blowout game. But he had 13 points, 9 rebounds. He only took 6 shots, but he had 5 stocks. The stocks are something that he used to be able to do a lot. Lately, he hasn't been doing it much. I mean, he is 35, 36 years old. So it won't. You can't bank on another 5 stocks from him, but he can bring back 20, 25 points to bring back value. If you're looking for a cheap guy to bring back value, just like I said for Marc Gasol, Paul Millsap's in that range as well. I'm not going out on a limb and playing him everywhere, but if I'm around that range, those are 2 guys that have center eligibility. Millsap has power forward eligibility as well. If I'm just looking for someone to hit value and not huge upside and playing it safe in a cash game or whatever, they're not bad options. And that's pretty much it for the Nuggets. This just is a very tough matchup for them. So if I'm going value, or Gary Harris is really good value. Michael Porter Jr. has that upside. Jokic over Murray for me. And then Millsap if you're looking for a solid guy with a not so high ceiling, but a decent floor. And then we're going to the big team that just laid a beatdown on the Nuggets in the Clippers. They have Kawhi Leonard is the highest guy on the slate, and they have Paul George at 8.2. Kawhi Leonard at 10.4. It's a big price. That's his highest price in the playoffs. His highest price in a while. But at 10.4 on this slate, I still like him. He dropped 29 points in 32 minutes last game. He didn't even get many rebounds. He only grabbed 2. He only had 3 assists. But he just crushed them. If this game was competitive and he played 38 minutes and they needed him to do more, he could have scored 55, 65 DK points easily. He had his way with this team. 12 of 16 from the field. He did whatever he wanted. I expect this game to be a little bit closer, but Kawhi Leonard is the best player for me on the night. With only 4 games, you can make the money work. It's not really hard to there's only one guy over 10K, and it's him. So you shouldn't be strapped for cash too much, but he's the easy play for me. I know he's going to be pretty chalky, and rightfully so. But you need this guy on the slate. He looks locked in right now. And the way that he just had his way with this Nuggets team, you can't, it's going to be hard to make a lineup and have him not in it. And we'll flip over to Paul George. I guess the only way if you didn't want to get Kawhi Leonard exposure, you had to get Paul George exposure. Paul George isn't a bad play either at 82. He had 36 DK points last game. He scored 19 points, 7 boards, 4 assists. I'd rather pay the 22 extra to get Kawhi Leonard, and I know that ceiling and that floor are just there for him. They're safer, and it's higher for a ceiling. But Paul George is not a bad pivot if you're going in there. I think I prefer those 2 Toronto guys and Kemba Walker in that same range. But if you're not going Kawhi Leonard and you wanted to go Paul George, you can do that, and maybe you can get both of them. Paul George probably could score 40 points again if this game's closer. Again, I prefer Leonard, but Paul George getting 40, 45 DK points and bringing back value is very attainable in this matchup, especially when Gary Harris can only guard one person. And then we have Lou Williams. Lou Williams didn't need him last game, and him or Marcus Morris. They didn't really need too many people. Morris went off and scored 18, but Lou Williams didn't really do much. They didn't need him. At 6K, I'm not going to fully play him there. I liked him more when he was at the 40s, in the 4K and in the low 5K. 6K, you need him to score 30 points. With Leonard and George there, it's attainable, yes, but it's a lot. The floor isn't where I want it for that in that 6K range when there's so many good guards on this slate. For Morris, not a bad option as well, but at 54, don't mind him. I would rather take my chances with I mentioned Michael Porter Jr., a lower owned guy who has that high upside, who's going to be needed in this series. Rather take my chances with him, but Morris is pretty solid as well. Then you have Zubac, and the last couple people between Zubac, Harrell, the 2 centers, and then maybe if you wanted to pay Patrick Beverley. Me, I'm going to leave Beverley alone. I think he's a bigger name than he is value, but again, there's not many people under 4K that are going to bring back value. And if you get stuck in this range, the last 2 games, he's brought 20 points and 19 points. He only played 12 minutes last game. He wound up scoring 8 points and had 6 assists. If he gets in the 20-minute range, yeah, that's pretty solid value. But especially if this game gets out of hand or whatnot, they're not going to rush him back. They want this guy to continue to get as healthy as possible. He only came back a couple. He played 8-17, and then he had a lot of time off, and then he played this game. So he's still getting his legs under him. But I don't fully see him playing 30 minutes. So that's why I would rather have 400 extra to get a Gary Harris or Robert Williams, since there's a lot of other guards in this, and the position eligibility helps me in that one. But as far as Zubac and Harrell, they're always going to be stuck in that timeshare. We saw Zubac get 33 minutes in that closeout Game 6 against Dallas, and he had 30 minutes in Game 3 against Dallas. But besides that, you don't really see him play that many minutes. Those are more outliers than they are normal. He doesn't play over 30 minutes like that. And his floor is lower. In this matchup against a Jokic, I'd rather lean towards Harrell because he's more athletic. He can stay with Jokic on the perimeter and whatnot. And I think this is where Harrell separates himself a little bit. And at the discount that you get with Harrell, the $500 discount, I like that a lot. At 43, I think Harrell's a very good value. I know he only played 19 minutes. He really hasn't, speaking of minutes, he hasn't played many minutes in this entire postseason. Let's see, I think he had over 20 minutes, 2 games in this entire bubble. He missed most of the bubble, but entire postseason. But his upside is a lot bigger. Just like last game, he had 19 minutes, but he scored 25 DK points. He took 11 shots, which it's going to be hard for him to always take 11, but he scored 15 actual points. I think he gets more than 3 rebounds. His ceiling is a little bit better than Ibaka's or Zubac's. I put their name in. I put his name in Ibaka and Zubac. Put Ibaka, but his upside is a little bit better in this matchup. And for 500 less, I like him. He's more athletic than a Zubac, and you need that against a Joker. Jesus. So I like Leonard, Harrell, Beverly, not too bad with 36. But those are the guys I'm going to gravitate more towards. Definitely Leonard, and I like me some Montrezl Harrell in here. All right, as a 2-game slate, they go pretty quickly. I'm trying to touch on as many people as possible, just because everybody's could be potentially in play. You only have 4 teams to choose from, 2 different games, and the pricing is the pricing. But yeah, this is another edition of Hoopball DFS. You can, if you need any questions or concerns before your lineup locks, definitely feel free to reach out to us on Twitter. You can reach out to me on @Santino Cacone. And look forward to seeing you guys again. I think Mike Apatria will be on here tomorrow, possibly by himself. We'll see. But yeah, have a good night, guys, and hope you guys win some money.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.